Hello, we are here with the Onyx Art Group. I'll introduce myself first and then we'll go around the room. My name is Otis L. Stanley.
And I am Akona Toyo.
Nicole M. Fisher.
Anna Gatling.
Penny A. Shaw.
Evelyn Chatters.
And we're going to have a group discussion on different topics. What's the first question?
First question is, when patrons see our work, what do we want them to look at as far as being able to say, I want to buy that piece?
What do you think, Evelyn?
Well, they might want to think about, does the picture fit into the decor of their home?
For me, it's not about what they see, it's about what they feel. I want them to have a connection to that piece so that it's something they love for years to come.
And for me, I think personally, there's a warmth. It's cheerful, it's bright, so it is that feeling that you get when you see it.
In addition to all of that, I think that what you feel is important, but aesthetics is also important, because if it's not well finished, now why should somebody buy that if it's not well finished? So all of that, kind of brings it home. If you don't finish it, then it's not. I mean, I'm not saying that you might think it's finished, but it's not finished to a professional level.
The attention to detail is important.
That's right.
Details is very important. Not only that, it is also about the quality of the work itself. Is it something that when people look at it and you have it hanging in your residence, is it going to be something that someone will go, I've seen that someplace before. Originality means a whole lot as far as what a patron would want to purchase for the work that that you have there. If it's not original work, it's sort of like, why am I buying someone else's? Almost be. I think that's the way I would frame it. I wouldn't want to buy someone else's knockoff and spend quality money on someone else's knockoff when it wasn't done correctly or it wasn't done to the best of their ability.
It's that authenticity.
Yeah, it's very important.
That what makes Otis's work is what makes his work, is not what makes my work, is not what makes your work.
Okay. What's the next question you want to address?
Now, one of the things that people have asked me about more than anything else is what makes our work collectibles?
Well, in my opinion, the work I share with the general public, I want to get a feeling. So as we mentioned earlier, they feel something and they can relate to it in some particular way, some personal way. And they just can't live without that image. They want to take it home with them right then and there. And it really comes down for me to a feeling.
I'd say for mine, mine is a unique medium whereby the process and everything is on either rice paper or on fabric, which lends itself to a very different skill type, so to speak, and the inherent irregularities that come with it make it unique, and yet it can be pleasing to the eye when you see that.
Well, Nicole, with your work, I think if they like the self-framing, the white framing, if they like that style and the abstract work within, that to me would make it collectible, because I might want 4 of those with the white framing around it. Because they would look good together on a wall.
For me, that border it's twofold. It has a deeper meaning, but yes, I put it there in the idea is that you don't have to frame it in order to hang it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And that's
And
the
like-
mindset.
like you do your white framing, I wrap the colors around the edges of the painting because I want people to have a continuity of when you hang it on the wall. It doesn't stop with the edge of the canvas. The canvas colors wrap all the way around so that when you see it from the edge, it wraps you into the surface on the front side as well as on the back side. And which also saves time and money because my take on framing image might not be the type of frame that you need for your home.
That's true.
And if I put an ornate frame on my canvas and it doesn't fit within the nuance of what you have in your home, why do you need to purchase it?
Well, the framing that I use on my painting, I don't intend for that to be the final framing. A lot of people will, have a particular style of frame they want. They may want to embellish it more than the original painting holds. So I don't try to use a frame that I think they're going to use as a final product.
I could say that as well because those few pieces that I have had framed were with a black, just not like you say, not ornate, just a flat black frame, and you can take it off. It wasn't expensive. It didn't add that much to the cost of the painting anyway, so you could replace it.
Right.
The other thing I think that we all do that makes our art collectible is that we have that certificate of authenticity because we're looking at the longevity of our work. We're hoping that that work gets passed down from generation to generation. You were talking earlier, Penny, about name recognition, and I think we all want that. We want generations from now to say our name and see us as artists.
Your thoughts, Anna?
I think that collectibles, are obviously personal to the buyer, and if they like your work and they see, as we do, we move from one place to the other when we do our shows, and maybe a year or two from now, the same person that came to the first show might come back and say, "Oh, I want this to go with the other, other piece of yours that I have."
Right.
So yes, we all would love it.
I think more than anything else, when someone I have had the acquaintance of a gentleman named Paul Jones, who had a master collection of African American art that he had started collecting in the early 60s, and his whole collection was given to I'm trying to think of the name of the college that was down in Atlanta. And when I went to his home, he had paintings, you name it, and he had it. And he told me that he had bought paintings and drawings and prints for $5 because artists were on the street of Washington, D.C. selling and giving their work away because there wasn't any jobs available for them, and they were just selling the work as cheaply as they could in order to be able to have money in their pocket. And when I asked him the question about why did he collect so many different varieties, he said the reason why he collected so many different varieties was because of the appeal. The work appealed to him at that time. And he said, and he rotated all of his work around from the ceiling to the floor. He would have paintings and drawings and prints all over the place. And as he rotated them out, he would also figure out which was to be the best way of representing that particular art. And he would tell me that the work itself was not about how little he paid for it, but was more about what it meant to him buying it in order to help that artist out, because that artist was scrounging around trying to find money just to live on.
What's next?
Okay. When someone look at your work, what is a too high a price to pay? Do you negotiate with people about their artwork, a pricing of your work?
Well, you know, a lot of artists use a formula, and that's based on the time it took them to produce the work. To a certain extent, I do the same thing. I base my pricing on the time it took me to produce it, the amount of detail in the painting, and what I think is a fair market price. I've gone to a lot of different galleries and looked at pricing of other paintings that I think were comparable to my pricing, and the price that I finally put on my paintings, I feel comfortable with that. And if a person likes the painting, they're going to buy it. If they want to negotiate, I have negotiated in the past, but I try not to make that a regular thing because I feel comfortable with the price I put on my work.
I like Otis. I go by a formula based on how long it took me to create the piece and also how much the materials cost involved in making the piece.
I've also heard that size matters. 16 by 20 versus a 48 by 36. You know, obviously it took more time and more paint, more paint, the size of even the cost of the canvas. If you include all of that, the bigger picture would take, should cost more than the smaller one.
I think the idea for a purchaser is understanding that you're not just buying the time it took for that piece, you're buying the time it took for us to become the artists we were when we made that piece. We all talk about evolving as artists and how long it's taken us to get to where we are, to be where we are and to have the skill level that we have. And that constantly evolves.
For me, I think I have my fine art and my abstract are priced differently because obviously the fine art takes a lot more time. So I do have prices for abstract versus fine art.
Does the size of your paintings also
Yes.
come into play?
Yes, it does.
And I've not yet negotiated with anyone.
Yes, I've never known.
I've
I'm not at that level.
I've never been asked
I've
to
never
negotiate.
been, yeah, I've never
Yeah.
been asked.
I haven't been
That's
asked
one
either.
of the things that that bears questioning and answering. Because once I price something, that means that's what I feel that piece is worth. Now, I won't negotiate down, but because of the richness of the painting itself, I might up the price because of how that piece has grown on me in so many different ways. Have you ever did that? You had one price and then you've raised the price later on?
Yes. In some of my works that I sold, let's say for a certain amount of money, same size painting, maybe a year later, I will increase the price.
I think as you become
Yes.
more involved and you sell more art, then yes, your pricing increases because your demand has increased.
And the name recognition you talked about. So once if the Otis L. Stanley name means more 5 years from now than it meant 5 years ago, yes, the prices will be higher.
I mean, I'm a big believer that the artist should get the money. We look at the art industry and how much paintings eventually go for, when they become famous. And usually that money is not money that the artist ever got of themselves.
Okay. What unique features do you add to your work that inspires someone to add your imagery to their collection? Do you do anything special to your work that will make people want to buy your work more over, say, Nicole's work over Otis's work? Is there something that you add to your work that make them go, oh, I like this because they did a little something here that's not on this one, you know? Or
Well-
is it a is it a comparison that, you know, do you do a comparison?
I don't think so. I think what we talked about earlier is if it touches them. If it touches them in some particular way. An abstract might touch a person differently from a figurative piece. Also has a lot to do with that background, I think. If a person can look at one of my paintings and see an outhouse and it brings back a memory of being at that grandmother's house and that just, you know, brought back a good feeling, then they may be inclined to buy my work, you know. Or if certain colors, as you mentioned earlier, they like certain colors and the way you put them together, if that touches them in a certain way, they may be inclined to purchase that painting. I'm glad that each of us has a particular style that doesn't copy anybody else's, because when a person comes into our art shows, they see a variety of works. They don't see a whole lot of the same thing, you know. And I think that's it'll help all of us when they have the opportunity to compare, to see the different type of artwork, and hopefully something will touch them.
This is a question that people have asked me. They said, why would you all call yourself the Onyx Art Group? And what does that mean? Is it because you're all people of color? Or is there another hidden meaning behind the name?
And what's your response when they ask you that question?
My response is that it is because the richness of the onyx stone, and that it collectively it means that it's the variations that come with the onyx stone. And then it's not about being a person of color. It is about being an artist who's got a rich heritage of color in their presentation.
For me, it's sort of what you said in the strength of the imagery of stone and the strength of the imagery of all of us and everything that we've lived through in life to get to where we are. But for me, it very much is about us being artists of color who tend to be underrepresented in the art world, and that's important to me.
I had a similar feeling because in college I was part of something called the Onyx Society, and we were people of color, and we did have certain goals, and we stood for strength and resilience and beauty, actually. So I'm glad to be under the heading of Onyx Art Group.
Next question for discussion.
That's it.
That might be all we have.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, viewing this video,
Yes.
I hope you enjoyed our reasonings, and we look forward to seeing you at our next art exhibit. In the meantime, take care of yourself, and we'll see you soon.